to another episode of Hiding Behind the Pages with Elite Speakers. I'm your co-founder, Talk to Tracy Brooks.
And I am your co-founder, Chikeitha Owens.
And we would like to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, go and follow us on Facebook at Elite Speakers Prep Series, ESPS. And be sure to let us know if you have a book to sell or a story to tell.
We have our special guest, the infamous Funny, up in here with us today. How are you doing today, Mr. Fred?
I am doing indubitably wonderful.
Indubitably, that's a word I've never heard before.
It's my own word. It just means I'm feeling great.
Yeah, all right. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us today,
Yes.
from coming from behind the pages, sharing your testimony, helping others heal in the world through your story, through your strength, how you got through and overcame the message that you'd like to share with our audience today. Chikeitha's going to read a few words to let our audience know a little bit more about who you are and your background. So after that, we can go ahead and get started.
Pastor Fred is anointed, hilarious, and genuine. And those are just a few words to describe Pastor Fred. Pastor Fred is a child of God first. He's a preacher. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a comedian, a musician, and an author, a forthcoming author. His forthcoming book, titled It Was Necessary, will be making waves soon. The Pastor Fred's journey started as far back as the 1990s. He traveled with Carolyn Traylor, gospel artist, starting back in the 90s for many years. Later, he also formed his own group and performed with the likes of the Williams Brothers and the Keynotes. Many more. The group even appeared on the Bobby Jones Gospel Show, which was taped in Disneyland in Anaheim, California. He also had an opportunity to tour with songwriter Greg O'Quinn. He went on to work for various record labels until returning home to fulfill the call God had placed on his life. You can find him also now traveling and enjoying performing his gospel, stand-up comedy, and he also has a recurring role on the Rickey Smiley show to be heard weekly. And so again, Pastor Fred, we just thank you for joining us today. And we just look forward to hearing your awesome testimony.
But it is definitely a delight to be here with you young ladies and to share. And prayerfully, my life will be a light to someone else.
Awesome.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So, Pastor Fred, as hearing your bio, it sounds like you have an extensive history in entertainment. And starting out in the 90s, back in the day when you were touring in your band, what was that like for you?
Well, I started out on the Chitlin circuit. So, kind of, where the Jim Crow era started back in those days. But once I got into it, it was still pretty much the same, singing in those hot school buildings and in Mississippi and North Carolina. But we loved it, traveling. Those arenas would be full of people because, music has its way of soothing the savage beast, I guess you could say. But it was fun. What didn't make a whole lot of money. Had to have some struggles. But when you love what you do, you'll make the sacrifices.
Yeah.
And I was young, but they took some chances on me, and I'm thankful that I was able to see the world.
Awesome. So you
That
got
is
to
awesome.
see the world at an early time when it was just flyers and phone calls being made. We didn't have social media back then.
Oh no, none of that. And thank God we didn't have it because some of the same craziness that goes on today was going on back then. So, but you had to work hard to find out about it. But it was fun. We had a lot of fun. The culture was different then. We groups helped other groups, and you know, and all that kind of thing. You know, it wasn't a selfish culture then. We've changed a little bit with that now, but it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
That's what's up. What's up.
So can you tell us a little bit about, I know you got your stage name, the Pastor Fred, the real Pastor Fred. Can you tell us a little bit about how your stage name came about?
Well, God called me to the office of pastoralship over somewhere, I guess, almost 20 years ago. I've been preaching since '97. And I pastored my first church young, I guess I say young, in the Church of God in Christ, because they don't normally call young preachers to pastor. But I've pastored 2 churches, so the name pastor, the title pastor, I got it legitimately. I paid for it. Now, I'm not going to tell you I did it the best. You know, I didn't make all the right decisions, because, you know, when you're under people in a certain era of time, you know, like in the 70s and 80s, they had a lot more respect for pastors, and pastors operated in a different way. But so I tried to do it like that in my time, and it didn't work well for me. So the Lord gave me the grace to start back playing for church, because I play a little bit too, just enough to get through service, and then pushed me right back into ministering to people through laughter, which was definitely difficult, because when you come from a Pentecostal background, they shy from comedians, you know, or jokes is lies, you know. And so I was really, you know, somewhat reluctant, but I really understand now that it's my assignment.
Wow, that is awesome. That's awesome.
Wow. So tell us a little something. You know, I'm listening to you, and it sounds like you know how to take the bull by the horns when the going gets tough, and you make it happen. You're appearing in church. You're ministering to the sheep. Is there a message? First, I want to ask, what was your passion to get you into pastoring the people? What led you to that calling?
Well, I've always loved people. You know, I've been a socialite since I was a kid. You know, so talking to people and wanting people to be happy is something I've always, because I grew up in a house where we didn't have nothing. So we had to work, you know, at making each other happy all the time. Our situation wasn't happy. My mother was crippled, and my daddy was an old cat, you know, and so we had to make the best of, you know, our situation. And it wasn't always, you know, I hadn't, you know, that bull, sometimes he got away from me. I didn't get him by the horns all the time. And you know, times got hard, things got hard, went through some really tough situations, you know, but I learned later in life that, you know, too much is given, much is required. And sometimes God puts a mantle over your life to be a blessing to somebody else, you know, and that's what He's done with me, because I definitely got the scars.
Wow. And so I know that you've been having some health scares, or have had some in the past. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about, you know, just your triumph through that, and, you know, for anybody that may be experiencing some of the same things, you know, how you've overcome that and how you are battling with it? Because right now, you know, you're doing some awesome things along with, you know, continuing to minister and just what God has purposed you to do in the midst of what it is that you have going on in your life with your health.
Well, first thing I'll say about, you know, health is I'm pretty blunt and direct. You know, a lot of what we go through is our own fault. You know, I'm a type 2 diabetic, and you know, the sugar didn't just jump in my system. I put it in there, and you know, I've made some bad decisions over the years. That my mama, she was in a wheelchair. You know, she had a disease from childhood, but she would tell me little stuff all the time. Boy, this, that. You know, as a kid, you don't think nothing about that. You don't think nothing, you know. But now, after years of bad decisions, I've had to go through some things with diabetes, with wounds on my legs, almost losing a leg. Just by the grace of God, they were able to. Thank God for technology. You know, they can do stuff now that you know, wow, it's amazing. But yeah, you know, but it's part of. It's helped make me who I am. You know, it makes me very conscious about my everyday life, you know, and how I live. And I ain't making the best decisions now. I ain't gonna lie. Me and the donut shop have a battle. So, but I do realize that in order for me to fulfill the assignment that's over my life, I have to think of that more than I think of myself. You know, to get, because it's a battle. And the Bible says the flesh is an enemy to God. So this flesh wants what it wants. We have to be disciplined, and I'm working on that one.
Wow.
So while you're working on it, you say you had to deal with all these health scares and you figured out a way to kind of get it managed. What steps did you have to take in order to watch what you put in your mouth, watch the environments that you surround yourself with so that you're not tempted to go against what you know is healthy for you?
Well, for me, you know, I'll tell anybody, your support system, which for me is my daughter and my wife and my mom, my mother-in-law, you need help. You know, and I think at some point, you know, we talk about that with mental health and all these type of things nowadays. You know, people don't want to get help. And sometimes you just got to realize you need some accountability. You need somebody to tell you, you know, my daughter saw, you know, commercials about diabetes, and she wants, Daddy, I don't want you to be like that. So I have to take into account all of that. So, and my fans, you know, they watch and they keep up. You know, if you ever on social media, you can get everything from fans to trolls. You know, oh, they're all out there, and everybody's either people are looking for you to win or they're looking for you to lose. So you have to constantly, you know, talk to yourself and monitor yourself. And then I have some real true friends that don't mind telling me the truth. You know, they let me know, you bigger than you was last month. You know, and I realized that I can't do stand-up comedy if I can't stand up. You know, so I'm working to do
That's
that.
a good point there.
Oh yeah, you know, you gotta be able to stand up and do this job. So it is. It's a work. You know, I'm not gonna lie to nobody. When I got out of the hospital, I went through depression. I went through suicidal thoughts. I had all of that. You know, as a good Christian preacher. But it's just, you know, it's just being real. You know, it's real life stuff. But I'm here.
Yes.
Thank God you're here. And I heard you say dealing with the mental thoughts and the depression. That's one of the things that we like to highlight for our listeners because it's important to know that, like you said, have a support system, someone that you can reach out to, hopefully someone close that really cares about your well-being, as well as persevering for yourself, you know, sticking to your guns, changing your diet, and again, having that support system. For you, you said, you know, you dealt with these, you know, thoughts of, I don't know, were you feeling like you can't go on? What were the thoughts and how did you're probably still going through the process, but how did you get through that process of deterring your mind, your focus on the thoughts of negativity and depression towards, I can do this, I am the king that I am, I can still stand up, I'm gonna stand up. What did you do to get to that point?
Well, I'll tell you, my wife is the gift God gave to me. You know, she's very introverted. I'm extroverted. You know, she don't do a whole lot of talking, but she made sure she let me know that, you know, you didn't come this far to quit. You know, I saw you minister in revivals and lay hands and pray for people, and now you got to believe that for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so she called me to the prophet. You know, boy, you got to do better than this.
That's awesome.
You know, so it pulled me up. You know, but being in that hospital, you know, nowhere to go and just laying there every day made me think about every bad thing that ever went on in my life. You know, being molested as a kid, you know, all those things, all those memories started coming back. And it's, you know, and you can't go nowhere because I couldn't even walk. So I'm just laying in that bed, you know, feeling like I'm in the Twilight Zone, you know. And so that's where those little crazy thoughts started popping up. And so that was a dark time in my life, you know, being in just those that month that I was in that one facility. But but she was there every day. She probably missed 2 days, but she was there to just let me know that, hey, you're gonna be all right. You're coming out. You gotta come out. We got some bills to pay. You better get up and get out of here.
You got some work to do, honey. That is amazing. Well, shout out to the mama pastor, the first lady. We appreciate you for encouraging your king to come up out that thing. Now, you said something that triggered me because I have been sexually molested as a child. And when you said that, it brought up, oh, well, you know, I went through the same thing. So as that being said, that's part of most of our audience, our listening audience problem or situation. They've been abused as a child. They've been abused in the home. They've been abused financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, and they're trying to come out. So we're here to share these stories of powerful people like yourself, leaders in the community, help share their testimony to help them heal and become stronger in the mind, look for the support, feed themselves that mental strength that you had to feed yourself, which it was fed to you through your wife. I appreciate you bringing that up. Is there anything that you can say to one of our listeners that are still trying to cope and may get triggered by being in a room for 30 days, life replaying back, and you're going, all these things happened to me? Is there any advice that you can give our audience in regards to the sexual abuse?
Well, when I was sexually abused as a kid, first of all, we didn't have that conversation. You know, I didn't even understand what was going on because my mom and dad, they were older. You know, they just didn't. We didn't have a birds and bees conversation. You know, at 7 and 8, 9 years old. I just, you know, whatever I knew, I had some old nasty uncles that taught me. But you know, but I wasn't up on what was happening. And then when I found out what had happened, you know, I started feeling all these other type of things. Am I homosexual now? Or is something wrong with me? Did I like it? Did I not like it? And I was watching Oprah probably, you know, 10 or 12 years ago, and Todd Bridges was telling his story. And his story was just like mine. It made so much sense. So I started sharing. I put it out on Facebook. And I started getting inboxes from other young preachers who had gone through this too. So what I will say to others is don't be afraid to say something. You know, don't ever feel like nobody's going to listen or nobody's going to understand. Say something. You know, because if you don't say something, this may happen to somebody else. So don't ever feel like you can't share. somebody cares, and I know if nobody else does, God cares,
Yes.
and you can share it with Him. He will give you peace that passes all understanding.
I like that. I like that.
And I just love that, Pastor Fred. I think that I thank you for sharing, your testimony about, going through the molestation and all of that. Because like Tracy said, it's so many people that are in that same place. And that's another reason why we have developed this platform, because there's so many people that are not moving forward in life because they're still stuck because of their pain, because of the things that's happened to them, and because of things that they've been told that, you don't share or you don't talk about stuff like that. It's an embarrassment to the family, or for whatever reason, you just keep that to yourself. Or even some of the families, it happened to me. Okay, I'm fine. I didn't talk about it, so we just not going to talk about that, and it's just unspoken. And I think that it's so awesome that, that people are actually coming forward. And I love, that you are sharing with others, because you just don't know how many people that are being helped right now, as they're watching this video and this interview with you, that, wow, he spoke up on his, maybe I should speak up on mine. And so that they can get the healing that they need. Because I'm a therapist, and I know, as far as working with foster care kids, all of the families that I work with, sexual abuse is just crazy in the homes, and so many children are suffering through it, and they may have gotten foster care from a whole nother means or ways for something that had nothing to do with sexual abuse, but throughout their therapy, all of this other stuff start coming out. And so I just think that it's awesome, so that, because it's important for people to get that mental health help that they need. But I just thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
No problem. And I know sometimes in the church, we just pray about it, baby. Just pray about it. But it's nothing wrong with talking to somebody.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with talking to someone.
That's right. That's right. And, it's very important to touch on that initial pain. I say get to the root of the problem so that you can deal with the tree, and then deal with the branches, which are the people that are around the situation that kind of turn the eye or kind of let it happen, said, hey, what goes on in the family in the house stays in the house. We're not going to put this out there. But what they do when they do that is they force that abuse up on someone else in the family. Because for one, we're not talking about it. Two, nobody's going to get the help that they really need. Three, the child that's been victimized is going to feel less than. And it's probably, when we don't deal with the pain, we go through all these little emotions. And then as an adult, we may become successful. We may become, that entrepreneur, that pastor, that therapist, but yet we're in pain. And that's why I created the Pain to Purpose program, to help those get to the root of the problem, so that you will be not just a functioning adult, but a whole person. Because when we are abused, and I've done this before, we leave so much back there where it happened. So we don't take a lot of that young person, that vibrant, play with anybody. I never met a stranger, but when I was sexually abused, I kind of got more introverted and a little bit more skeptical of the people that I wanted to be around. So I think it's very important that we get to the depth of the pain and deal with the root of it, and not shun it away or think, oh, I didn't die from it, so I don't have to talk about it. No, we need to talk about this, because people are hurting. Grown people are hurting in silence, and they're living successful lives, but on the inside, they're dealing with a darkness that they feel like it's their fault. And I just want to put the message out there, as one that has had that happen to them. It is not your fault. It's not even that person's fault, because the person that did it to you, they was hurt. Hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
So I just really commend you, Pastor Fred, for sharing that testimony, being very transparent for our male listeners to understand it's okay to go and talk to somebody.
And I'm glad I made it through it without.
Yes. Well, that's the God in you, you know,
Yeah.
and by speaking it, that's where the strength comes from, Pastor Fred. Believe it or not, every time you speak, you build the muscle of encouragement and strength within yourself, and you pass that vibration on to others. So again, thank you. Because a lot of us are scared to talk about it. I spoke at a speaking engagement through Reset Conference 2020 just last week, and I asked the question, how many of you have been sexually abused as a child? And maybe 3 people in the room raised their hand. But when I walked off the stage, 3 more people approached me. And then the following day, 4 people approached me and a male and said, it happened to me. I should have raised my hand. But thank you. Now I know I need to deal with that pain. So
Yeah.
again, I really appreciate your transparency. It's going to help somebody, the masses basically, because we're reaching this platform out to the world, to everyone to hear these powerful testimonies and grow the strength that they need to continue to be the successful pastors, the successful therapists, the successful coaches in life, and not be walking around with all that pain.
Right.
Yes. And I know, Pastor Fred, that it was necessary. That we have experience. It was necessary. And I just know that that book that you got forthcoming that's on its way is going to tell it all about what we're talking about right now.
Oh, definitely. It was, you know, the Bible speaks of it, you know, some of the things that we go through, you know, it seemed like it was designed to kill us, but it was really designed to make us who we are. You know, you couldn't, I asked God, you know, God, why would you allow me to go through some of the things that I went through? And, you know, it's because somebody that you're speaking to doesn't know me like you do. And so that, you know, that helps me to be able to convey that message without feeling any type of way. You know, I know who I am. I'm very in tune with me. So I want people to understand that, you know, even I talk to young men who, you know, deal in homosexuality, and I have to let them know you can't let, if somebody touched you or something happened to you, you can't let that develop into something else. You can be cut off. You can deal with it. You just have to before it comes, you know, before it makes a whole nother turn in your life. But I'm thankful that God gives me the grace to be able to share.
Wow, that is awesome. So, Pastor, we were talking a little bit earlier about the Rickey Smiley show, and you're able to be heard on the Rickey Smiley. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, social media is a wonder. It allows you, man, you know, I know it has its bad things to say, but it has blessed me in so many ways. And one of the ways is connecting with Rickey Smiley. And we connected about a year ago, just on Facebook Live. I'm, you know, me being silly, and making him laugh. And he was determined, you know, for us to hook up, not knowing at the time that Tom was retiring and Rickey would be taking over Tom's job and moving back. So once all of that started working out and Rickey moved back here, he called me up. And, so at least twice a week, I'm doing church in 60 seconds. You know, people say we stay in church too long, so we're doing 60 seconds. You know, it's humorous yet inspirational.
And so,
Can you give us a little taste of what you do on
yeah.
Rickey Smiley Show? Because I done heard some things. Can you give our audience a taste of that?
Well, let's see. When we started out really playing on words, you know, the theme may be love, and I may come on and start talking about love and this, that, and the other, and what love will do and what love. But when I close it out like a preacher. I close it out and take it out hard and heavy. and get that in 60 seconds. And somebody said, well, how did you do that? Well, when we were coming up as young Pentecostal preachers, they would have Friday night services where all the young preachers would get a chance to preach. Well, they wouldn't give us but 3 minutes apiece. So we had to learn. We didn't have time to get up and say, give it up, and so on and so forth. We had to get up and take out running. And so I knew how to do that. That was no problem to me. And people really enjoyed that. People enjoyed church in 60 seconds. You know, I think some people listen to that 60 seconds and feel like they ain't got to go on Sunday. But y'all keep going. I don't stop going.
Well, we thank you, Pastor Fred. Yeah. We have enjoyed you immensely. Thank you so much for being on our platform, sharing your testimony, your wonderful, hilarious spirit. Y'all look for him 2-3 times a week on the Rickey Smiley Show right here in Dallas, Texas. Y'all heard him here first with Elite Speakers. I'm your co-founder, Tracy Brooks.
And I'm your co-founder, Chikeitha Owens. And we just
this is exciting.
Yes.
Yes. Thank y'all. This is Hiding Behind the Pages. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye. We would just like to thank you again for joining us with Hiding Behind the Pages. We hope you have enjoyed this episode, and we would love for you to like, share, and subscribe on our Facebook at Elite Speakers Prep, ESPS, and on our YouTube channel at Elite Speakers Prep.